What of us remain? 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 What of lakes and plains? Metaphor takes shape. Ballad of climate shipwreck. Ballad of climate shipwreck. The world at stake. Amidst the tides of Lake Champlain. The tides of Lake Champlain. Metaphor takes shape. Ballad of climate shipwreck. The world at stake. What of us remain? What of us remain? What of us remains? What of us remains?
What remains? Melting pigmented ice ships weep. Glaciers weep, bearing mother's anguish. Watch as they slowly sink, their residue forming ink-based drawings resembling burnt landscapes and chaotic notions on this landlocked ocean. Watch as they decompose into the time immemorial in which they once were in time immemorial. How glaciers weep, no longer able to stand proud and massive and great against Earth's fevered death rattle. As above, so below. 300 species of birds sail Champlain skies, celestial counterpoints to 300 foundered craft. Irony is lost on them. They do not ponder their own reflections, superimposed on drowned apparitions, unaware that humanity's dereliction might soon condemn them to oblivion.
Amidst the tides of Lake Champlain, a metaphor takes shape. A ballad of climate shipwreck. A world at stake.
How shall we measure our missteps?
How shall we measure our missteps? With sunken ships?
With
ice's demise? With footprints of carbon? With the crust of zebra mussels that occlude ships' bones? Hulls that were once crystal clear, now in their death are so alive. As they lie ungainly and smothered, attempting to utter stories, garbled and choked in their lonesome, inky, cloistered, quiet graveyard. Shall we measure our missteps with mass extinctions? We are in the 6th mass extinction. The virtuous recite, our thoughts are, prayers are with you. But thoughts and prayers are worthless words of so many hypocrites eager to be calm, dissent of who those who know. They declare with indignation.
Diane. And welcome everybody. I had the misfortune of not really inviting anybody on my list to come today, but I know some people here because some of them were my students actually back in the day, and that feels really lovely. And a longtime friend, Sherry Carver, sitting here. So it's really nice to see all of you. I'm going to read something to you first. Robin, who I've known since it's the late 1980s. Late 1980s.
Wait, which kindergarten is that?
Yeah. I don't think our moms knew each other. So, anyway. But I'm going to read something to you, which I wrote that is an adaptation of what I wrote for the catalog, which Robin was kind enough to ask me to participate in. And so here we go. I first met Robin Lasser in 1990 when she and her then collaborator Ray Beldner proposed a multimedia installation for the Berkeley Art Center, where I was the curator. Their installation, The Language of Volcanoes, Pompeii Revisited, evoked the historic devastation of Pompeii in 79 AD as a setting in which to consider the interplay between natural and man-made disasters. Situated as if within the red-walled interior of an ancient Roman villa, a video projection of volcanic eruptions, fires, earthquakes, and nuclear explosions animated a darkened gallery wall, conjuring the unfolding nightmare of environmental decimation. At the center of the space stood a classical sculpture of a woman balancing an amphora on her shoulder, from which liquid poured into an ornamental pool. The pool was surrounded by a floor of wood and crushed charcoal, arranged in a checkerboard pattern that crunched underfoot like lava as visitors approached. Up close, the trickling liquid was revealed to be oil, slowly engulfing the face and body of the sculpture. Near the entrance, a lead table held 2 plaster tablets inscribed with volcanic terminology such as ozone layer, heat, suffocation, and ignite. The visceral experience of this installation, expressing the tension between ancient and contemporary events, and more broadly between humans and nature, has remained central to Lasser's creative ideology. Since that time, our evolving ecocide, from oil spills to global warming, has become a sustained focus in her work. After several decades exploring themes of sanctuary, global migration, and their effects on built and natural environments, Lasser's recent work turns toward the intertwined themes of environmental and personal loss. To reflect on these losses, she began a series of intimate memorials and collaborative multimedia installations. 3 of these, which are 1, 2, and 3, Migration, Sea Shanty, and Water Towers, feature small copper reliquary-like features created by Sidney Brown. Onto which thematically linked selections of Lasser's films are projected. Each work layers material symbolism, song, spoken word, and moving images to create multifaceted meanings. And I strongly encourage you, after this or some other time, to come really experiencing these works. They're so moving. The Migration Memorial features the gospel songs I Don't Want No Trouble at the River and The Storm is Passing Over, sung by the Plattsburgh Gospel Choir. The Water Tower Memorial, dedicated to Lasser's mother, Phyllis Lasser, includes her mother's poetry, read as part of the accompanying film. Each piece functions as a memorial to water, celebrating both nature's vitality and our interconnectedness with it and with one another. What are the ethics of remembrance staged by memorials? This is a question that Robin asked me to consider in relation to her recent memorial projects. The possible answers converge around central concerns. Whose stories are being told? How are they represented? Are they accessible? And to whom? In recent years, memorial practice has shifted away from traditional monuments, those that rely on scale, permanence, and historical tropes, such as the heroic figure on a horseback. Over the past half-century, artists have approached memorialization from more holistic and participatory perspectives, creating works that encourage individual and collective reflection on family, community, and home, on forests, lakes, and landscapes, on lives lost in service, on personal or environmental loss, on possessions resting at the bottom of the sea. One of Lasser's most compelling recent works is Ghost Ships and Mourning Doves, Finding Sanctuary in Impermanence, done this year. A 4-minute film that gives form to the transience of life through image and sound. The film opens with an image of a frozen Buddha transported on an ice ship, set to an urgent, mournful cello composition by Argentinian collaborator Gustav Lorenzetti, interwoven with the cooing of doves. The spectral figure and vessel, unmanned and ephemeral, slowly melt as flickers of flame shimmer above and below the water's surface. And I'm hearing the music.
I know. It's so weird. It's like I thought I'm like hallucinating on a wall, you know? It's like what's
Hastening the dissolution. Midway through, Robin reads a poetic text meditating on the fleeting nature of existence, the dissolving self, melting glaciers, and planetary transformation. Small things. The piece becomes deeply poignant when her words reveal themselves as both a eulogy for her brother and for the planet. I'm dreaming of ghost ships offering fleeting passage to the other side. You remind me of the ice Buddha and our impermanence. What is our archaeology of loss in the time of climate change? I am finding peace in unexpected places in the wake of your loss. I am feeling the warmth of your eternal flame.
Love your sister. Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you, Terri.
Thank you. The work underscores Robin's persistent linking of self and environment, articulating the intertwined disintegration and renewal of both the body and the planet's ecosystem. So now I'm going to let these...
You can clap now.
Thank you. Thank you. So, a few questions for you. It's an honor to have this conversation with both of you today. And to begin, could each of you speak about the significance of collaboration in your practice? You collaborate deeply with one another, but also with musicians, who we heard today, poets, and nature itself. How did your collaborative process for this body of work begin, and how did it evolve into this remarkable series that we're here seeing?
Do you want me to start?
Go for it.
Sorry, I'm kind of losing my voice, so I'm going to try to project. We met when I was a grad student, but not a student of Robin's. Robin came to my midpoint review, which was a body of work all about grief and trying to memorialize my mother's family. And she wrote to me afterwards, and we were very kindred very immediately. And I think, like, I don't want to speak too long about it. I want you to have a chance too, but I think what sticks out to me is that Robin and I have had a really, like, special experience collaborating. We have been able to really, like, grow a very deep trust of each other, and I think that is not always possible or easy as two artists. Like, you both have big opinions, and we work very differently, but we've been able to really, like, find the areas where we connect and stay there as much as possible. Even in, like, miscommunications, I feel like we've not let things sit, and I think that's, like, key in collaboration. Like, anytime there's something that's anytime anybody missteps or anytime there's something that's misunderstood, we've chosen to, like, find each other quickly and fix it. And I think that has allowed us to feel like we can probably do this for a long time.
Oh, that's beautiful. and mostly true. I'm that crazy one.
What's
I think something dropped out of my thing, or no. Oh,
I think you're okay.
like I said, I'm hallucinating. Collaboration. Wow. For me, everything is collaboration. It means everything. I'm not really interested in monologues. I'm interested in conversation, both with human and non-human resources echoing throughout our planet. So sometimes I collaborate with trees. I try to listen deeply and record their songs. Some of those songs end up being part of the scores for the films that I create. And here's another thing. I don't know how to do that many things. Like, you don't want me singing that ballad. Trust me. So some of it is practical, but mainly when I look back at things, and I've had some years to look back because I'm almost 70, when I'm thinking about the work I've done, what I'm really thinking about is the people I've met. Many of you, and I've worked with many of you in various ways out here, and that's love. So collaboration is love. Yeah.
It's so touching. Thank you for sharing that. So going further into thinking about collaboration, when we were planning this talk, the three of us, you both described this body of work as being almost like stations of the cross. It's not a phrase that I would have necessarily related to, but it evoked, we sort of talked about what that means. The phrase evokes a series of difficult, painful, or transformative moments marked by struggle, but also by the potential for hope and redemption. Can you talk about why this symbolic idea resonates so strongly for each of you in this work? I think you should start with this one.
Well, full confession, I'm Jewish. So when I said to Terri, oh, you
Who's
know,
also Jewish.
who's also Jewish, I said, you know, when thinking about, along with Sydney and Diane and Pete, thinking about how to design the space, I thought of it as different stations, right? So I said stations of the cross, and I hope when you're going through the stations, you're not feeling the pain and agony. I think we hope, you know, it gives you a moment to be with yourself. Mm-hmm. So in this particular show, there are still photographs. And Terri, I asked Terri, what do you think of them and what's their place? Don't worry, I'm not going to say what you said. But I thought deeply about what they do, and I thought, for me, the photographs really anchor the concepts, the beauty, the memorial in these other works that are slippery. They're moving through time. They're alive, right? And I thought of The Last Call. Does anyone know what The Last Call is?
I mean, like when you're in a bar?
Yeah. Whiskey, please. No, I was actually thinking of, you know, I'm Robin, so I somehow associate with the aviary world. And I was thinking of extinction. And before that happens, there's always a last call. And then there's nobody left to respond. We call it ghosting, but, you know, and I think if you build up those calls and you took all those extinct birds, if you imagined an audio timeline, one call, the next, the next, and then you stack them high up to the ceiling and out to the sky, what would that sound be? And there's no one left. And I think our climatologists probably feel like they're singing Our Last Call, and nobody's listening.
It's very powerful. And do you want to add anything to that, Sydney?
No, I think you covered it.
No, she's not.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Truly. On that one. Yeah,
It's
truly.
interesting that you bring up this idea of last call, because your active listening and deep listening are really a part of your practice. I don't know how much people in this room know about some of your practices, but the way in which you have been listening to the music that trees make, riparian trees. And I've been really struck by how you brought poetry and music into what is, if you're in this space, it's a more traditional art exhibition. So it's auditory, sort of experiences are very important to you. Can you talk a little more about that? What do you?
Yes, and I just, I love sound, but I know nothing about music, except when I hear it played so beautifully today. But sound for me, and I think this is so, I don't know what you think, but sound has waves, right? So does everything. These chairs, if I start vibrating, that's because I'm just mimicking what's really going on there on a molecular level. And I think sound has a way of entering our bodies differently than our sight or our smell, that for me is so powerful. Last night I was attending a film, and one of my colleagues had this beautiful piece where every 10 years she photographs her family members, and we see them getting older, and they hum. They'll hum every 10 years. And that vibration, just hearing that, knocked my socks off, right? That's Mel Day. I'm nervous, so that's why I didn't say immediately, because I was collecting my thoughts. So that's a piece by Mel Day.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. That's so rich. And
oh, there she is.
Yeah,
oh,
you saw her. Yeah. Anyway, thank you. So another key idea in this work is sanctuary. And the dualities inherent in nature, death and rebirth, fire and renewal, mirror the complexities of winter. Sydney's copper sculptures embody these tensions. Delicate in form, their strength lies in their vulnerability and their resilience. They invite intimacy, calling for our full attention and presence, not just our eyes, but our bodies. This question is to both of you. You've spoken about understanding loss as a form of transformation. Could you share more about this idea?
I'll start. I feel like, I'm just stuck on the word sanctuary for a second, so I'm going to say that. I'm looking at these right now thinking, like, having sculptures I really love these sculptures. I'm so happy I got to make them, but like putting the films inside them, like, gave the sculptures a voice and gave the films a body. And I think of the word sanctuary as like a relief, right? So somehow, like, combining all those things together, like, that's the feeling that I'm hoping, I think that we're hoping that people are experiencing, is like, even though it's we're talking about tough material, I think we're hoping that this whole space feels like a sanctuary for like everything that we're talking about. And then you come and you experience with the headphones, you're immersed, and hopefully you're absorbing at a deeper level because you're getting a moment and you're immersed, and it feels safe. I don't know. That's what I'm feeling right now. Can you repeat the question? I'll try to come back to it. Like exactly. Say the question.
Well, the question was
loss.
understanding loss as a form of transformation. This question emerged in part because Robin found a book in the last day or two, or maybe you knew it before, about transformation, and I was really drawn to it. I had to buy the book instantly, so I haven't read it, but I think it feels like an important idea relative to this work.
And I'm trying to remember, I was taking a walk along our local lake with my friend and her husband, who's a therapist, and I always love that because I can always use a little free therapy on my, bouts. And he said, what are you doing? And I said, grieving. And like with Gil, what remains, his eyes light up, and I see this therapist, his eyes light up. And he says, have you read the book called, what I'm remembering is 2 words, but there's 4 in the title, so please forgive me, but Wilding Sorrow. Does that bring anything to mind? What does that feel like to you? Wilding sorrow. Yeah, wilding sorrow. Do you ever feel like I feel like I stuff my sorrow a lot. I get up in the morning with this stomach ache and the day hasn't even started. So even in my dreams, stuffing sorrow. So I love this idea of wilding your sorrow. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And I mean, let's face it, you're so focused on the natural environment and what's happening to nature and what we're doing to nature. It's really, really heavy stuff. And the way that each and both of you focus on this you realize it in the art, is in some ways, it's wilding sorrow. It really is. It's like just throwing it out there, not trying to contain it, but sort of just capturing these moments or recreating them.
Wouldn't it be cool if we all just stood up right now and wilded our sorrow? Let's just try it. I know it's silly. No, don't stand up. Just wild your sorrow. This is how I brush my hair in the morning. Like that. Yeah.
There's another question I had for you, which is about loss and hope. So you notice there's a theme here, sort of trying to pull out, which I think we're doing. When we discussed this project, we talked about loss, hope, and memorials, points of entry that have remained central to your process. You have created poignant memorials. The one that I talked about at the very beginning was a memorial, actually. And that was in 1989. So, but there's also celebration and hope in this work. And I think that it would be really wonderful to talk about that aspect of it and how can these 2 elements coexist? These 2 emotions.
Yeah. Those tensions we hold. Almost everything feels that way to me. Does it to you? You know, I remember once somebody said to me, another collaborator, she said, you said this, but 15 years ago it was something else. You're such a hypocrite. And I thought, wow.
I don't think they went to art school.
Or ever changed, ever in their lives. I'll just say, I'm just most comfortable in the tension. I think that like life is, well, I don't trust black and white. I don't think that's real. It's just not fair. So I think working with, we'll say sorrow and hope, or grief and resilience, or maybe they're all the same, but I just don't think one exists like beautifully without the other, right? Like you can't feel hope fully if you've never felt loss fully. So I think that's where all like the juicy stuff is when you can combine them both and say both at the same time. I think it like causes us to stretch. It causes those that are around us to like reach deeper to try to feel everything, which is like the really good part, right? Like it's so boring to just feel one thing and stay there, or to never change. Like, oh my God, if Robin felt the same way now as she did 15 years ago, or if I did, I mean, I'm just a completely different person, like every 15 minutes, but certainly every 15 years, I hope. Like, how boring if you don't change. But I think that's why we work so well together. I'm like still feeling the collaboration. Like it's just relationship, right? Like everything is better in relationship. Just like you said about not wanting to monologue, and just like you said about not wanting to forget where you've come from. Like it all, I think that's what we're doing, is reminding everybody what's happening now, what could happen, and certainly like why it's important to keep moving and keep changing and keep listening. That's the hope, right? The hope is like, if we can find a way to like get at people's nerves and their hearts and their bellies, like maybe they'll make different choices. But I think if you just speak sorrow to them, like not everybody can handle that. Like I can, you know, like I want to be there, but most people or some people will turn away from that. But if you can kind of like go back and forth on the wave of like, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's really dark, sometimes it's really funny. That's how you keep people engaged and like maybe they want to make change. I don't even know if I'm speaking to what you asked.
You are. It makes,
but I felt
makes total
passionate.
sense. Well, to me, I mean, you said something. You said you felt most comfortable in the tension, and that to me is like the dualities that are inherent in nature, in human life. Our emotional lives are all about dualities. You know, I like this, but I hate it, and it's like, what does that mean? Well, it happens all the time. But finding the resolution, like what is in the tension, is actually where you can begin to make change, to reconcile things. But the change is most important. I think that's part of what we're looking at here, is how can change happen.
You know how when you go into an airplane, they always say, and I never understood this, like, if you have a child beside you, I always thought I was a child anyway, but if you have a child beside you, you know, put on their oxygen mask first.
It's the other way. It's the other way. Put on yours.
See, I never understood it.
So that you can be a better helper.
And when I'm a better helper, when I put on my oxygen mask first, I'm more capable of extending love further. You know, it's that old corny thing, love yourself before you can love somebody else. And I know this is hot, and but you know, at least for me, this feels like maybe my contribution closing is a quote from Terri Tempest Williams, and of course I'm 70, so I can't directly quote, but she said, does anyone remember it?
We'll start it.
This is what I do with my students all the time. They look up Terri Tempest Williams, they go, oh, on the phone, and then, you know, but it's something
It's
like
the closing of my essay, so you can just open the book.
Okay, open the book. But it's like, she says, Terri Tempest Williams, who's an incredible scientist and writer, says, I can't find the refuge I thought in my mother. or my grandmother, or the birds of Bear Valley. But I can find my refuge in love. And the greater my capacity to love, the sooner I can learn to love death and therefore accept change. Yeah. Something like that. I bastardized it a little bit, but it's something like that. Yeah.
No, I think it's a good paraphrase. Yeah. So that very big idea leads me to what is my last question, which one of the things that Robin and I did sort of in tandem this year was decide to go see William Kentridge when he was here at, it was at the
Berkeley.
Zellerbach Hall. And I love Kentridge. I've written about him, etc. And after we did that, one of the things I was thinking about was about this work, not just what's in this space, but the concept of it, which to me is like a Gesamtkunstwerk. And I don't know if some of you know that word, but it's a word that refers, it's a German word that refers to the total work of art. And it really struck me that is, to me, what this work is. It is a Gesamtkunstwerk. And so I just wanted to kind of bring that forth and just say, what are your thoughts on what this project might become in the future?
That's the
So
fun,
many
easy
things,
one,
so
right?
many things.
Then we're back to the making.
Yeah. I mean, I think one thing that comes to mind immediately is like we've just talked about public art, possibly, like if this could be much larger in scale. Specifically those water towers, I think. I'm thinking about if you could get inside them and experience like the film in the round. And then
I
the
love
sound
that
in the
idea.
round. You're like, I'll throw that. But also, like, I'm really interested in trying to, actually, we both talked about this, trying to more, another level of integrating the photos and the sculpture, like making the photos more sculptural. So layers of metal and mixed media and photos mixed in where things are very tall and you see things from the bottom and also from the top and more in the round. Is that true?
Yes. No, remember, I'm the liar here, not
Oh,
you, so yeah. No, that's really true. And I think to kind of follow up on that, which I'm
Please.
really excited
Go,
about.
yeah.
So you can imagine these photographs, with two edges, but they're kind of tilted and they're holding up something, and then that something is growing into something. Then there's another photograph and it's tilted the other way. And then there's sound dripping and drobbling down it.
Or
And-
objects dripping. Like there's all kinds of dripping.
Yeah, there's all kinds of dripping. See, this is how we do it. All kinds of dripping. And then, at the opening, Aldo Billingsley was here, and he's an amazing person of the theater. And I saw him looking intently at that film. And first of all, I fell in love right away. Anyone's going to stare at that and listen to it for 13 minutes, woo, you got my, And he said, oh, I can imagine this 40 feet. And then he said, because he's involved in the arts, he sees a dancer. And then he pulls out his phone and he shows me an image of this dancer who works with erosion and movement. So around your water tower, with this swirling images inside, the shadows.
The dancer.
Climbs the tower, and so creating a kind of theater. And I do want to credit Terri with so many things. When I read the essay you wrote initially, I was so thunderstruck because we've had enough time, 30 years or 40 years, to be in each other's path, in and out.
It's true.
now and again, right? And you said to me, oh, this work reminds me of Kentridge and maybe doing an opera. And I thought,
Oh, yeah.
woo, I love Terri. She gets me. She, yeah.
After 40 years, you're in or out.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
opera. That's the future.
So,
all right. Opera's the future.
That's it.
Thank you.
I just want to open up. Does anybody here have any questions?
So this is a question about collaboration, especially with the sculpture, Sydney. How much direction did you get with the designs? That you have the water tower, you've got what looks like a shrine and maybe a barn. This makes me think of how much did you collaborate in the sculptural side?
That's a good question. I mean, not very much to start, I would say. I think the way that we started is Robin just gave me the song from the film, the words, and we talked back and forth writing notes, and then I stole phrases from the songs and turned them into what I felt, into what I felt physically, and also transposed or stamped some of the words right onto the sculptures, especially this one. This is the first one.
Yeah, there's words all over it.
And I really we didn't talk about the shape of things or anything, really. As far as I didn't take any direction, basically. I think, right? I don't feel like there was any
Damn, I hate that.
real there. And I actually don't think there was much in this one either. We talked, again, I took words from the songs and from notes, but this one was much more collaborative. I think it was conversation that formed it, really. And also Robin's mother's poetry is cut out of one of the water towers, which the way that was a little bit collaborative still is that she gave me her mother's book of poetry, and I went through and decided the one that grabbed me. And then I think we talked about water towers, and we just you sent me pictures and I sent pictures, and
Well, it clicked for you. The eyes went off, and it's true with collaboration. As much as we all would like to control another person, somehow it never works for me. I'm open to suggestions, but when you find something you both light on, and there are two pieces in this room that are more literally memorials, and this one is for me anyways, in the film part of it and the poetry, an homage to Phyllis Lasser, my mom, and an incredible poet, and the way she would write about her relationship to the natural world just knocked me out. And 4 months before her death, I came home and she looked kind of bummed out. So I said, let's read your poetry. And in reading it, I realized, Mom, you and I have wanted to collaborate for 40 years, but we could never figure out what worked together. And I had just come back from a trip to Japan, and I was filming in the sacred waters there, and then listening to my mom read her poetry and thinking about her life as she was then. So when she wrote that poetry, she was my age, actually younger. She was 65. And I saw the transformation that happened when she was able to recognize a part of herself that feels like it's lost. As we get older, are we still that 2-year-old? Are we still that 10-year-old? Are we still that, much of it, yes, but sometimes we need to revisit. So you said it so beautifully, Sydney, for me to be able to project that film and to listen to my mom's words on the water tower. And I said, what what is a water tower? What does it mean to you? Remember what you said?
I think I said like it's a container for like for reserves, right? For safety. I don't remember exactly. That's
Yeah,
my
no,
real
it's
answer.
beautiful.
Tell me
No,
the beautiful thing is.
no, I don't remember exactly either, but it was something about reserves, you know, and thinking in safety nets, right?
Yeah.
A drought, but hey, you want that little tower, or the littlest tower? The littlest tower. So I'm really grateful, Sydney, to you. I feel like I do get you. And I don't mean to be presumptive. And it's added so much to my life to work with you, and I know we'll continue. And I just wanted to say, Terri, I feel the same thing. This past year, and working with Diane and having this opportunity, and you too, Mary, has been a really special time. Because as we get older, you know, it gets a little closer to you think, am I going to be able to chew my gum tomorrow, right?
First question that crosses my mind.
Yeah,
every day.
Exactly. It's those important questions in life. So it's been so meaningful to me, and some of my students that are here and or former students. If it's okay, I'd just like to take a moment to tell you how much you mean to me and my colleague, Bin Don, standing there with a baseball cap in the back, like this a lot of the time. And it is my last semester, and teaching has been my life, you know, almost 4 decades. And then I remembered, as I was feeling a little somber, something I read about plants. And apparently, of course, I could have seen it on Instagram, so who knows what it really plants. And plants, right before they feel like they're dying, they dump their life force into the soil, and they share it with others. And in this Instagram moment, I think it also said that nothing ever dies. It just changes its frequency. Now we're sounding like Mel's piece. And you know, I don't know some of you here, but I hope I get to at some point in my life, and some of you I know very well, but it means so much to me. I've dragged some of my friends. We were together last night sharing films at San Jose Museum of Art. I was thinking SJSU. And then they're back here again supporting their friend. And my colleagues who have collaborated with me, Anthony, writing articles. I said, Anthony, would you come? So I hand called, you know, many of you. I got a lot of rejection, but I tried to be the bigger woman. And here you are. So, okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Any other questions?
Thank you. I have a comment and a question. Maybe I'll start with my comment because I'm stuck throughout this talk, which has been fabulous. Thank you. About the wilding sorrow. And wilding is often used as a phrase of bringing land back to its natural state. And you've been talking so much about duality, and you know, I was curious about that phrase because this work makes me think about the sorrow in our inability to let land go back to its natural state.
Beautiful.
Which really leads me to my question is, at first I thought these were photographs, and Sydney had said that they're really created, you create them and then photograph them. Can you talk a little bit about that process?
Sure. The other night I was here, there was a great first exposure group here. First exposures offer opportunity to young photographers who might not otherwise have access. And people were calling them paintings, like, oh, that painting is really interesting. That one's really interesting. And I thought to myself, that seems to be how people are responding. And when I say, no, they're photographs. Now, of course, this was first exposure, but they said, oh, I like it much better now. So I couldn't figure out, am I a bad painter and a good photographer, or a bad photographer or a good, yes, and thank you for that question. That's the way I always work. When I think of, there was a great 01 that was run by the director Joel Slayton, and he had two projects that stand out in my mind. One is do what you do, right? Trust yourself, be yourself, do what you do. And what was the other thing? It was brilliant. I'm pretty sure of it. It was brilliant. It'll come to you. It'll come to me. But, I know what it is. He had a 01 that was kind of like make your own worlds. Wasn't it something like that? This was like 15 years ago. And I love that. And I was so lucky to be a part of that Biennale where you can create your own worlds. And I spend a lot of time in my head. I wish I spent more time in my body, but I'm in my head all the time, and I'm thinking, imagining. So when I can go, for instance, to my backyard and barbecue. Now, I'm not talking about a steak. By the lake today, when we were walking, this kid said, what if we were fishing? He said, what if we were catching chickens? That was great, catching chickens. So I'm in the backyard, not catching chickens or anything like that. But I have to admit I love fire, because fire for me is life, it's transformation. We're the keystone creature for fire. It's been with us forever. We're one of the few, besides one bird, that actually uses fire as a tool. So my husband Jim Gold is sitting back there, because one time I almost burnt down the house, but that was for a different project. I contain these worlds so I can create firestorms and floods and landslides and birds flying overhead. And what I love about photography is it lets you lie. So I love lying, meaning I love making things up. So I can be a liar in the backyard. And parts of this series, like maybe this one was an earlier one from this series, people often thought, well, maybe they thought they were paintings, but they often thought, oh, those look like aerial shots that you did from a helicopter, Barbara, did from a helicopter with some infrared film or some kind of thing that sees the ships under the water. And if anybody, but she was actually right, the person that said, are they a painting? Because as these objects in these spheres melt, they do create their own painting. They create their own watershed. And what I love about that is it gets back to that saying that nothing is ever lost, that energy is just exchanged. So as that ship melts in that salt field, it becomes that watershed. That water, it evaporates, it goes up, and it's a cloud. You go to the Dairy Queen, you freeze it, it's an ice cream. This is what I'm saying. And so I love to be a magician, an illusionist. And photography allows me to do that. And the films in here actually, so they're kind of stuck now. They're sick of me. But when they're moving, they're all done from stills. So I'm there with my middle format camera, click, 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 you know, and then bring them back, create parts of the film. Meanwhile, the next day, those dry, the dried water begins to crack, and then all of a sudden it feels like it's a drought, and then something else melts, and that drought becomes a lake. You see, so that's why I love this process. Yeah.